Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff, Women's Tennis Big 3. The ATP Big 2, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, are so dominant in men's tennis that they overshadow an established Big 3 on the women's side. Aryna Sabalenka defended her title at the 2025 US Open, defeating Amanda Anisimova 6-3, 7-6. Sabalenka has a commanding lead at number 1. Iga Swiatek is number 2, and Coco Gauff, despite her fourth-round exit, is still number 3. With faces and lower-seeded players making it to the later stages of Grand Slam tournaments, sometimes it's easy to forget how consistent these three have been. This year's US Open featured some surprising storylines: a resurgent Naomi Osaka and a resilient Anisimova, as well as Taylor Townsend's transition from doubles specialist to threat in singles. Yet the top in women's tennis is the same post-US Open as it was going into Flushing Meadows: Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Gauff. How much have these three dominated in the past 2 years? Mark Petchey, tennis commentator and coach of Emma Raducanu, stated via Yahoo Sports that the game has evolved since she won the US Open 4 years ago. Since I started helping Emma, I said she needs to start closing the gap between the best players. Against Iga and Coco, she knows what she has to do and it will take a long time, Petchey said. Raducanu is 0-10 against the Big 3 in women's tennis. The WTA's Big 3 isn't dominating like Sinner and Alcaraz, who each have won 4 of the last 8 major titles. The women's Big 3 also hasn't come anywhere close to the days when the ATP Tour's Big 3, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal, joined the WTA's Serena Williams to win 88 majors. The occasional ascension of a player under the radar, like Madison Keys at this year's Australian Open, Barbara Krejcikova winning Wimbledon in 2024, or Marketa Vondrousova winning Wimbledon in 2023, creates the narrative that there is no consistency at the top in women's tennis. However, that's simply not true. Heading into the 2024 US Open, Swiatek was ranked number 1, Sabalenka number 2, and Gauff number 3. The 2025 season began with Sabalenka ranked number 1, Swiatek number 2, and Gauff number 3. By the time they reached the French Open, Gauff was number 2 and Swiatek was number 5, having failed to defend her titles in Madrid and Rome. At Wimbledon, Sabalenka was seeded number 1 and Gauff number 2. After winning the title, Swiatek moved back to number 3. It took a while for the women's tour to take shape after then one Ash Barty's shocking retirement at the age of 25 in March 2022. But since Barty's retirement, only Sabalenka and Swiatek have held the number 1 ranking. Not even Sinner and Alcaraz can make that claim, as Djokovic and Daniil Medvedev held the number 1 ranking during the same 3-year stretch. In 2024, ahead of the French Open, Swiatek and Sabalenka were battling for number 1 when they spoke with WTA Insider about how they motivate each other. I think it's great, because she's number 2 for a long time, and she has already proven that she can play great tennis, Swiatek said of Sabalenka. I think that's amazing, the rivalry we are having with Iga, Sabalenka said. She definitely motivates me a lot to get better, and I think I improve so many things just because of her. Gauff joined the Big 3 in the summer of 2023 when she won the DC Open, Cincinnati the US Open. Gauff finished 2023 ranked number 3. She had an outside chance at number 1 going into this year's US Open. Ons Jabeur and Jessica Pegula, who worked her way into the number 3 spot, have challenged the Big 3. But Jabeur and Pegula have yet to win a major. The Big 3 have combined to win 12. Elena Rybakina won Wimbledon in 2022 and beat Swiatek 3 times in a row in 2023. After that, Rybakina, not Gauff, was considered part of the WTA's Big 3. However, Rybakina hasn't reached a major final since the 2023 Aussie Open and didn't advance beyond the 4th round at any Grand Slam tournament this year. She's currently ranked number 10. What separates the WTA's Big 3 from the rest? Like the original Big 3, Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Gauff have contrasting styles. Sabalenka's game is about power and aggression. She is relentless and goes and stays on offense. Swiatek's playing style is most similar to Nadal's. She puts more spin on the ball than Sabalenka and Gauff. Swiatek has the best all-around game, with her second serve the only glaring weakness. Gauff is the best athlete among the three. Having been ranked number 1 in doubles, Gauff is solid at the net and crafty with slice and drop shots. She's struggled with her serve and forehand. Despite her issues with the serve, Gauff has reached 3 major finals and won 2. She's also won a WTA final. This is a testament to her mental fortitude, perhaps strongest of the three. Swiatek has a winning record against each. However, Gauff and Sabalenka are closing that gap. Gauff has won her last 3 matches against Swiatek and is 6-5 against Sabalenka. They all have massive fan bases. Gauff is the highest-paid female tennis player and one of the most popular athletes in sports. Swiatek's fans like to boast about Iga's bakery, where she serves up bagels and breadsticks. Sabalenka's followers roar about their tiger, reflecting the number 1 player's giant tattoo. Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff, women's tennis big 3. Women's tennis has always thrived on rivalries, dynasties, and seismic shifts of power. From Chris Evert versus Martina Navratilova to Steffi Graf's domination, from Serena and Venus Williams reshaping the sport to the fierce era of Maria Sharapova, Justine Henin, and Kim Clijsters, each generation crafts its own mythology. In the 2020s, that mythology is being written by 3 names that are reshaping not just the WTA Tour but the very fabric of global tennis: Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff. Together, they have become the big 3 of women's tennis. Different in personality, playing style, and journey, yet united in their shared dominance, their stories are a fusion of power, intelligence, youth, and resilience. This isn't merely about matches or trophies. It's about how 3 women have turned individual legacies into a collective era. Chapter 1. The Architect of Power, Aryna Sabalenka. When Aryna Sabalenka enters the court, she doesn't just play tennis, she storms it. At 6 feet tall, armed with one of the most ferocious serves and ground strokes in the history of the game, Sabalenka embodies pure force. She is raw aggression shaped into a competitive art form. Her journey wasn't linear. Early in her career, Sabalenka was labeled too erratic, too prone to double faults, too emotional under pressure. Yet those same critics overlooked her resilience. Sabalenka has lived through valleys of self-doubt and peaks of triumph, slowly learning that power, without control, cannot win slams. Her transformation came with discipline. Once known for scattering errors, Sabalenka rebuilt her serve, calmed her nerves, and sharpened her mental game. By 2023 and beyond, she emerged as a serial Grand Slam champion, carving her place alongside the greatest hitters of the modern era. Sabalenka's tennis is a paradox, reckless yet refined, brutal yet beautiful. Watching her is like watching a storm roll in. You know destruction is coming, but you can't look away. And her presence in this big 3 adds firepower. She represents the pure adrenaline of women's tennis, the reminder that force and ferocity can still define greatness. Chapter 2. The Queen of Clay and Calculations, Iga Swiatek. If Sabalenka is a storm, Iga Swiatek is a chessboard of precision. She brings calculation, structure, and quiet devastation. The Polish prodigy, once a surprise French Open champion at just 19, has grown into the most consistent and cerebral force of the women's game. Swiatek doesn't dominate with sheer power. Instead, she overwhelms opponents with a layered game. Vicious topspin forehands, surgical backhands, and the ability to turn defense into offense in a single rally. Add to that her unmatched ability to slide and glide on clay, and it's no wonder she has already earned comparisons to Rafael Nadal. But Swiatek's genius is not only technical, it's psychological. She prepares with meticulous detail, trains with relentless structure, and builds her confidence on routines. Her headphones, her music, her breathing exercises, everything is designed to control chaos. In an era where mental health in sports has become a vital discussion, Swiatek's openness about pressure and mindfulness has made her both relatable and admirable. Among the big three, Swiatek is the intellectual anchor. If Sabalenka sets fire to the game, Swiatek cools it with calculation. She is the tactician who can both absorb Sabalenka's power and outmaneuver Gauff's speed. Her reign at world number one for extended stretches has already solidified her as the defining champion of her generation. Chapter 3. The People's Champion, Coco Gauff. Then there is Coco Gauff, the youngest of the trio, yet arguably the one who embodies the soul of this new era. Since bursting onto the scene at Wimbledon in 2019, where she stunned Venus Williams as a 15-year-old, Gauff has carried the weight of enormous expectations. Her journey hasn't been without stumbles. Early hype sometimes threatened to overshadow her actual growth. For years, critics wondered if her forehand would hold her back, if she would buckle under pressure. But Gauff has responded with grace, resilience, and a hunger to improve. Her breakthrough came with her US Open triumph in 2023, where she captured not only her first Grand Slam but also the hearts of millions. Gauff's victory wasn't just about tennis, it was about representation, youth, and hope. Her speeches radiated maturity beyond her years. Her game radiated speed, defensive brilliance, and an ability to fight until the last ball. What sets Gauff apart is her connection with the public. She is unapologetically herself, whether discussing social issues, celebrating her culture, or showing vulnerability after tough losses. She is the bridge between the sport and its younger, more diverse audience. In the big three, she is the heart, the player who makes fans believe not just in victories but in values. Chapter 4. Clash of Styles, Clash of Legacies. What makes the Sabalenka, Swiatek, Gauff era so compelling is the contrast of styles. Sabalenka versus Swiatek. Fire against ice. Sabalenka's raw hitting collides with Swiatek's structured precision. Their battles often feel like wars of willpower. Who bends, who holds, who survives the storm. Swiatek versus Gauff. The intellectual against the instinctive. Swiatek has dominated this rivalry, exposing Gauff's forehand weaknesses again and again. Yet with each match, Gauff learns, adapts, and inches closer to rewriting the script. Gauff versus Sabalenka. Speed against power. Gauff thrives on defense and counterpunching, using her athleticism to absorb Sabalenka's blows. But Sabalenka, when focused, can hit through even the fastest defenders. Their matches ignite the crowd like few others. Together, these dynamics create not just rivalries, but a narrative tapestry. Every tournament feels like a chapter in an unfolding saga where fans debate, will Swiatek's calculation prevail? Will Sabalenka overpower? Will Gauff rise above them both with grit and charisma? Chapter 5. Echoes of the Past, Visions of the Future. Every era of tennis has its defining trio. In men's tennis, the Federer-Nadal-Djokovic rivalry became the most iconic in history. In women's tennis, we've had rivalries, but rarely such a sustained triangle of dominance. Like Serena, Sabalenka uses power as a weapon of destiny. Like Graf, Swiatek builds dynasties with precision and consistency. Like Venus in her youth, Gauff inspires with speed, athleticism, and cultural resonance. Yet, unlike past eras, this big three exists in a more globalized, digitized world. Their matches trend worldwide. Their voices extend beyond sport into activism, identity, and mental health. They are not just champions. They are ambassadors for what women's tennis can mean in the 21st century. Chapter 6. Beyond Rivalry. Mutual Respect. What separates this big three from bitter rivalries of old is their mutual respect. Sabalenka, despite her fiery personality, often praises her rival's consistency. Swiatek, reserved and analytical, recognizes the challenge of competing with such variety. Gauff openly admits learning from both, while also declaring her ambition to surpass them. OM Poland,